lovely Friday edition of the Todd and Erin morning stream. We have got a boatload of things today that will force your children to leave the house and actually attempt to have some sort of life this weekend.
We're going to tell you about another guy who's a hero in his desert Himalayan town.
Tell you about a lady who thought she was flipping a house and ended up with a hole in the ground. That's awkward to explain to the mortgage company.
If you're making a terrible movie, the cops are going to shoot at you.
And the stupidest sexual assault awareness questionnaire ever.
Okay.
It's all in the morning stream. Let's go.
I think I'm warmed up now.
All right, why don't we just
You
go
don't
to
wanna
the
pull a
Robert
Hemi.
J. DeBry Morning Mountain Cam. Let's have a moment of zen, shall we? Everyone breathe deep. You'll see that it is a beautiful, perfect day.
Oh, nice.
Going up to close to 100 this weekend. It's going to be glorious.
So
What?
I think if you've been following the show, by the way, thank you if you have, because the numbers have been...
We're kind of surprised by that.
No, we're not surprised.
We're really shocked, actually. Thank you.
780,000 people have seen the show.
In less than 4 months.
And I try to dress better and maybe use an iron, so I'm working on that. So just be patient with me. So we're moving. So our house is for sale. So we've decluttered, which is, we'll explain something else here. So last night...
No, let's be clear. We didn't declutter. A terrifying little woman named Eleanor came in with her assistant and started piling stuff up in each room and said, "Take this away." And I'd be going, "Don't you think that's a pretty pillow?" No.
No.
Can I keep the wreath?
To the garage.
No.
Yeah.
So, and then once they've created this beautiful movie set like house that you're terrified to let your children sit on. I'm not joking. When Zoe watches the TV, she has to crouch on the coffee table. It's the saddest thing ever.
And so all these things have been put away, not by us. Now,
And a certain level of hysteria, so they're stacked anywhere.
I have to tell you, I have 6 reams of paper. They were stacked on each other on a chair in the back room. 6 reams. 6 reams of paper. And yet, when I needed to go over the show last night and write some stuff out, this is what I ended up using.
Oh, honey, are you serious?
Yeah, it's a Trader Joe's bag. And all my pens are gone, so I got a pencil.
That's because pencils look more chi. They have good chi.
I had to sharpen it with a knife because, I can't find a pencil sharpener. And I'm like Abe Lincoln doing math on the back of a shovel with charcoal from the fireplace.
Sorry.
And I'm like, look at me. Just look at this. Is so sad.
I think you were patting yourself down with toilet paper after your shower the other night because you were scared to mess with the good towels.
You can't touch the new towels. So somebody buy the house, would you? Please put us out of misery. Speaking of finding things.
I don't know if you can see this. Can you hold it up?
Yeah, I can hold it up right now. It's hot. It's hot.
I know what it is,
Can you
honey.
guys
I
see
use
this?
it all the time.
All right. So what those are is those. There we go. I tell them what it is.
These are the old school GE hot rollers. Girls, do you remember this? You'd put the hot rollers in, like you'd get up early for high school, and then you'd put them in your hair, and you'd have nice curly hair. Well, I have to use 2 sets of these, and I had to sleep in them overnights. But you're dedicated where you're a teenager. But I have a vent today that I'm shooting.
What is the vintage on these? 80s?
Bazillion 9, I don't know.
80s?
Definitely the 80s, though.
Oh, they get really stinking hot.
Yeah, and you use these
too.
little epic clips
Show
to
me.
do them. Okay, so it's...
Because you have to go do a thing with the cast of...
Yeah, the Steel Magnolia girls, and she's going to do my hair, but she said, could you curl it first, because it's going to be gigantic and take forever.
So you're going to do this during the show? Oh, you have to go right
It's
afterwards,
not want,
don't
not
you?
pal, all right?
You
It's
have
like
to go.
you care.
Yeah, you have to go right after this.
And so, yeah, I twist it to make it go a little faster, but yeah.
I got to tell you, though, when we first met and the first time she did this to her hair...
Well, I was doing it, or just
was
putting the rollers in? Was
outside
that was
the bedroom window, looking in.
Ew, that's not creepy at all, so that's lucky.
Well, it's me. You married me, so
Okay.
you shouldn't worry you.
Yeah, that probably doesn't say much for me either,
I'm going
does
to
it?
tell you about a genius.
Okay.
And at first I thought this was stupid and just a novelty and all this stuff. But
No,
it's
this is
not.
freaking genius.
And basically, Sanam Wangchuk is his name. And he
Is
is
this
an
Nepal?
engineer who lives in a little village, sits 11,500 feet up in the southern Himalayas.
Okay.
So don't you think about 11.5. I think the tallest thing in Utah is 12. Think of downtown Salt Lake. It's at 45, 4,600 feet above sea level. So this is way up there, which means it's colder. Okay. So the village he lives in has to basically the source of water is from when a glacier starts melting, and it comes down into the village. So which means is the dry season starts in July, which means it's backwards, and basically they have no water and they have no way to store it. So what the engineer did is
And this is a profound issue because this means that especially the kids in the village are usually the ones that are assigned these tasks. They end up walking miles upon miles upon miles trying to get water for their family.
Right.
They don't get a chance to go to school. They don't get a chance to do anything else because of that desperation of just trying to find water.
So Sanam, he created a pipeline that ran it with fresh water, the source of a mile away, was up in the mountains, and they ran it all the way down to the village. Now, during the winter, the pipeline would pour gallons and gallons of water to the stationary area that was a pit with a sprinkler. Go ahead and show them. And basically, this thing would freeze.
Wow!
And freeze. And freeze. And look at the people. Look
That's
at the
incredible.
size.
It looks like a glacier.
All right, so the deal is
They
that
look
during
very happy
the
about it.
dry season, which would follow the season where they could collect the water, they would keep building it taller than this, taller than this, taller than this, and then as the mass source, the water mass of this thing with the ice would last them through the drought period,
That's
and they'd be
incredible.
fine. How's the hair going?
Oh, it's good. It's fine.
Okay.
I mean, that's freaking genius to me.
Yeah, so smart
Right?
guy, huh?
Look at that picture, though.
I know.
Okay.
How did you sleep in these?
You know what? Dedication.
Oh, no, I remember. Wait, because this is after we were married.
I'm sorry. Dedication when you're trying to get your hair curled is a serious
But
thing.
I mean, where do you sit on a pillow?
You have to
I had
angle
forgotten.
just right.
I had forgotten you had these. Well, I think you get in one position and then you just freeze.
You can't. Yeah, you can't move. You have to kind of move your head around really cautiously.
And this would hurt.
And see if you can sort of squish them into like a sort of a generalized area so that
Gosh,
they're not
you
going to
haven't done
stab
this-
you in the
haven't
brain.
done this forever.
I really haven't curled my hair. Sometimes I get a hair stylist who does it, but that's.
How long does I forget how long it takes to set?
I used to do it overnight, so we'll just see what I end up with 2 hours.
Okay.
So that'll
Well, you
it'll
know
be a
what we'll
surprise
do
for everybody.
is we'll get a picture and we'll use it on Monday.
That'll be fun. Okay. I'm number one. I'm a University of Utah alumni, so I follow this stuff pretty closely. I am incredibly proud of them because I do feel like they have done a lot of issues to address what critics have been calling a rape culture on
Right.
college campuses.
Right.
And they've worked really hard to be more responsive about sexual assaults. They've been more responsive about working with the police, really trying to clarify.
They also put up the safety boxes.
Remember the safety boxes with
where
phones?
you can just grab and call security or call the police.
And it's incredible. So they've spent $125,000 alone just on lighting the campus better, which is awesome.
Good move.
They've got a big board that's comprised of faculty, public safety officers,
Right.
students, talking about what are different things that we can do that will mitigate some of these problems. What can we do to help?
And when they talk about a rape culture, I mean, it goes down to basics like jokes dealing with rape.
Precisely.
And how wrong is that? Because that allows that to be part of the social fiber.
You can't even allow just the concept of having that open as
Right.
something that's acceptable, and people will say things in a testing way. The
Right.
same way people might try a racist joke or a sexist joke and kind of wait for the response, like, "Am I safe to keep doing this
Yeah.
with you?" Or you
the
that
answer,
kind of person.
the answer's no.
Yeah, I mean, the
And a
president.
lot of times you're uncomfortable when someone does that and you're like,
And I always wish later I had jumped in and went, "That's
Right?
so inappropriate. Why would you
Right.
say that?" But, the president of the U was cool. He said, "Let me be clear. There is no place for violence, sexual harassment, or sexual assault at the University of Utah. It's a high priority for me and all of the members of my administrative team to do anything we can to support and promote awareness about the campus community members about our expectations for our culture here on campus." So this guy is good. He's got it going. He understands the importance. But here's the thing that kills me.
there's always one problem with this.
They spent $50,000 on a program that they rolled out to some fanfare, and it is an online course.
May I say that sometimes you have $50,000 and you buy swampland in Florida, because the people who make this, because you don't know about production or content and how this is going to work. Will it be effective? If you've watched training movies at work about sexual harassment, you know what I'm talking about, because they're horrible. They're horrible. So, important topic. Tell them the content.
So here's where it gets painful. So I was curious, so I went online to take a look at this because it's a course that everybody who goes to the U is now required to take. That's
Well-intentioned.
including faculty, that's including
Everybody.
students, everybody.
Right.
So here are some of the questions, and you just tell me if the person who wrote them had just been hit in the back of the head with a baseball bat. Question number 1. Best way to indicate interest in the opposite sex. It goes through a couple of the options, and one of them is, it's all right to touch them on the chest or genital area.
Just let it sink in for a second.
Would that even really be something you would have to explain? That was a bad plan?
This is like the driver's test that all the other 3 choices are stupid, and then so you know what the correct answer is.
And it gets better. When speaking to a possible victim of assault, tell them to calm down and don't get hysterical, as that will slow the interview process. Todd, how well does it work for you when you tell me to calm down? Now let's just exacerbate that by this being a real issue and having someone tell you to calm down.
Erin trips on something and falls, and I rush over because I'm her husband and I'm a caring person. I'd probably do it even if we weren't married. And I would go, "Are you okay?" And Erin has a certain sense about her that she will then strike out like a snake at anything within her arm reach. So I've learned to watch her fall and just walk into the house, which the neighbors find disturbing, because my wife is crumpled up on the driveway, and I just see her, and I walk slowly into the house.
You know, you've kind of veered wildly off course here, but I can tell this is something that you've really wanted to say for some time.
Well, you started it with what happens when I tell you to calm down.
Yeah, and once again, you have veered wildly off course. Let's bring back to the sexual assault awareness online interview, shall we?
Hope you enjoyed the trip.
Here's two more of the questions. I think you'll enjoy them. In what context does no mean something else? Really?
Well, I'm still thinking.
This is said
This is
with
a trick
straight
question.
face. Apparently, they sincerely think there's an alternate answer to the context.
Wait a minute. These are 18-year-olds.
Okay, and here's another one. Yeah, true. But here's another one that I find amazing. If your friends are shouting sexual comments to the opposite sex walking by,
I hate this.
do you do one of the 3 following?
Oh, no.
Number 1, join them. I think everyone knows. Number 2, ignore them. Number 3, walk away. And those are your only 3 options. Don't you think there should be a 4th where you tell them all to shut the hell up? I'm just kind of wondering maybe if they could throw that one in there instead of like, let them keep going, who cares?
If they're that ignorant, you tell them to shut up's not going to work.
I think my favorite still is the one where they tell the possible victim of assault to calm down and not get hysterical.
Right.
That's my favorite.
And that's usually in a hospital, isn't it?
I think they meant it if you've encountered someone on campus.
Okay, and they need to go to the hospital.
Yeah, but maybe that's not probably the best series of steps to be taken. In any case, what I'm saying is, I'm thrilled for you. A+ for what you're trying to do. B, that's a lot of money to spend on something that I'm 90% certain was written by a frat boy somewhere in Wisconsin. Hey, you guys, I got another one. Give me a beer. We're going to write this one out.
Oh, my gosh.
That's all I'm thinking.
It reminds me of that commercial I love so much, and it's about the cat calling and the yelling out, "Hey, baby, let's get married," and worse things than that. And it's this 2 guys, really typical. One's got a pot belly, and they're sitting down there eating lunch, and his buddy's sitting next to him. And the woman's come down the street, and he goes like this. He goes, "Hey, hey, 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 hey." And he goes and he yells down, "Your future is ahead of you."
You go, girl. You look amazing. You sound amazing. Clearly, you're intelligent.
Your brilliance is deafening to the world. And just
I love the self-affirmation stuff.
Oh, so good.
Cool.
All right, Daisy's coming up.
All right, yeah, she's in the Gephardt Daily Newsroom. It is brought to you by Robert J. DeBry. Robert J. DeBry has got offices in Salt Lake City, Sandy, and St. George. You can reach them for help at robertdebry.com, and by Executive Transportation, where our friend March and his fleet of sweet Escalades will take you anywhere in style and for a surprisingly affordable price. You can just go to executiveutah.com for more information. And All Utah Plumbing. Now, they are 24/7 available for emergencies. They are there for you, and all you have to do is reach them at allutahplumbing.com. Daisy, what's going on today, my dear?
Good morning, everyone. Here's what's making headlines Friday, June 16th on GephardtDaily.com. Fugitive FLDS leader Lyle Jeffs, who was captured early Thursday morning near Yankton, South Dakota, was nearly out of food and money to keep up his life on the road, according to Utah FBI spokesman Eric Barnhart. Jeffs, who had escaped home confinement nearly a year ago, was picked up near a marina after a tipster notified law enforcement of his whereabouts. Jeffs should be returned to Utah within the next few days, Barnhart said, and will face charges relating to fleeing justice, in addition to his original charges relating to food stamp fraud. The Draper Police Department said it received an anonymous tip just a few hours before the deadly gun attack in Sandy on June 6, which killed Memory Rackley and her 6-year-old son Jace and wounded 2 other children before the shooter, Jeremy Patterson, took his own life. Deputy Chief John Eining said his department got a tip just before 12:30 on June 6th, saying that Patterson had broken up with his girlfriend and wanted to kill her, then himself. Eining said the tip did not give officers enough details to find the suspect, and attempts to contact the caller failed. They ran Patterson's name through a state database, and multiple matches came up, but there was no way to narrow them down. And the Utah Chalk Art Festival opens today and runs through Sunday at the Gateway in Salt Lake City. This will be the 15th year the free festival has transformed Rio Grande Street into a gallery of vibrant street murals. Several featured artists have been lined up for this year, and activities for children will add to the fun. Money raised benefits Utah Foster Care, which runs the event. And make sure you make some plans outdoors this weekend because the weather's looking just about perfect. The cooler weather of earlier this week gives way to temperatures in the mid to upper 80s, while early next week will climb into the mid to upper 90s. That's all for now. More headlines 24/7 on GebhardtDaily.com.
All right, thanks, Daisy.
No, you can go ahead and tell him.
Well, my
comfortable.
question is, well, you're getting this ready because you're going to go do something with a cast of Steel Magnolias, so they wanted you to get your hair started because they're going to make it.
And I was
crazy.
cracking up because I just saw this on Facebook. It says, make a comment if you remember what this is. And it actually was the identical thing of hot rollers that I found in
So
the bottom of
already
the
you've
closet.
got a lot covered, but you use 2 boxes of these.
Traditionally, yeah, I have to use
Okay.
2 cases, and
All
then
right.
I use the foam stuff, and then I twist them so that, and I used to sleep in them, so we'll just see what I get here.
Winner for Christopher's.
This is our big thank you. It's dinner for 4 at Christopher's Prime Steakhouse, the most glorious place alive. And you take your friends, you enjoy yourself, you have unspeakably delicious steaks. You know, the sad thing is I could go there just for the sides. I would totally take
Side
the steak
dishes are
home.
great.
The sides are glorious.
You can have cocktails, drink wine because you have a professional driver taking you to and from.
Well, this is Executive Utah, and their Executive Transportation has just gorgeous cars. They will make sure you get home safely. You don't have to worry about a thing. Now, our winner this week is Corinne
Hi,
W.
Corinne.
Hi, Corinne. We love you.
Thanks for watching.
And if you would like to win next week, it's extremely simple. All you have to do is just comment on the show today, share, like the page. We'd appreciate that, and you're entered to win. It's just that simple. And then next Friday, we'll probably be calling your name. It's just like that.
And then you could take us.
Now, John Oliver, I adore anyway,
gotta
just
say-
because he's so entertaining and he's British, so, he's got that.
I read this story. I read the story a little while back, but then it came up in the news cycle again, and I wanted to tell you this because John Oliver, first of all, is the first person I think that believes that the audience can actually stay focused for 15 or
Longer than 30
16
seconds.
or 18 minutes when he does a story about a certain topic, and he does it for 18 minutes. First of all, he's English. Second of all, he knows more about America
It's humbling.
than 90% of us. And he was doing a deal on debt collectors and how people, companies and stuff who had debt, they would sell it off for pennies on the dollar to debt collectors, and then they would go after them and they'd collect all the money they would keep.
And it's a ridiculously lucrative process. Medical debt especially is very frustrating because so many bankruptcies are started by medical debt, where there's one catastrophic event and it doesn't matter if you've got your little savings or your insurance, you're dead. And so this is why I think I love this so much.
So what they did is John Oliver and his company, they made a company, and then they went out and started their own collection agency. Then they approached one of these people that sells off debt so that these guys can go out and chase you down. And they paid $60,000, which is a lot.
That's a fair amount.
But it's TV, and he does really well on Comedy Central. So he paid $60,000
He's on HBO.
on HBO, and he got $15 million worth of debt.
This is how lucrative it is for a debt collection agency to do that.
15, and this is medical.
And they're not interested in compromising with you either, which is always amazing to me.
So
what did he do with $15 million worth of debt?
So what he did with that $60,000 and that $15 million of debt, he canceled their debt.
Are you kidding? He forgave the debt?
He forgave the debt, all of it. 9,000 people got a bill or a letter saying your debt's been paid. You're okay.
$15 million worth.
And the whole story was about that. The whole story was about how debt's being sold around the country to people get ruthless, get mean, and do things like that. And it's just, it's amazing. And I think that is the funniest, the most creative
Oh, that's just genius.
thing I've ever heard
Right?
of. Yeah.
And compassionate and funny and charming and basically everything.
This is why I like him so much.
That's
I'm
hysterical.
going to dump these out so we don't make that noise every
Okay,
time.
I'm actually good now. Okay, I want to go to Tell Me Something Good because this is one of the most epic things I've ever seen. I fell in love with The Hunger Games just because I thought it was such a great book series. I went to the movie, the Suzanne Collins series, went to movies, of course, and that's how we all fell in love with Katniss Everdeen, and Jennifer Lawrence became an international superstar. But it is worth so much more. Is there nothing The Hunger Games cannot do?
Like what?
It can save lives. Now, Megan and her friends Mackenzie and a couple of their other friends were playing in a Gloucester, Massachusetts marsh.
Gloucester.
Gloucester. And it was in a marsh. Explain a marsh because I'm in the desert.
A marsh is a swamp with more upright vegetation like cattails.
Okay, we'll go with that.
Marsh.
Well, they were playing in the marsh when Mackenzie slipped through the mud, and apparently there was a piece of steel
Oh, boy.
in the mud, and she slashed her leg open. The wound was 10 inches long, 3 inches wide, and as you can imagine, starts bleeding profusely. Now, once again, this is a 12-year-old girl.
Right.
So at this point, there's all these little girls. They're terrified. She's bleeding. Remembering the scene in the novel, Megan requested a pair of her friend's shorts. She tied off a tourniquet, applied pressure on the tourniquet, then calmly told one of the other girls to run and get some help. Then she held it in both directions exactly as it had been described in the Suzanne Collins novel of Hunger Games.
That's awesome.
And essentially saved her life. She goes, well, I knew it from like this book I read. And when she was talking to the paramedics, and she said, so I figured it was like a well-known method of stopping bleeding. So she's saying to the stunned paramedic who said, if she had not done this, then
Right.
Mackenzie would be dead. She would be gone. And she had managed to stop the bleeding. Of course, the paramedics got everything stabilized. She did have to undergo surgery to make sure there wasn't any bacteria because it's a marsh.
It's a marsh with
But-
more upright vegetation.
Megan saved her friend's life
Pretty cool.
because she liked the Hunger Games.
That's
But I
pretty
just let
cool.
her shoot coolness and going, well, it was in this book I read. So I figured, it's, a thing.
It's pretty cool.
12 years old.
So I have to say that it's been so fun working here with the gang at Get Part Daily. And basically, if you don't know, they do basically hard news, all local. They do the local hard news, and they're out there at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the
They're
morning.
lunatics, every
They're
single one of
crazy.
them.
They
Yeah,
don't- they don't sleep. They're vampires.
we love them dearly, but they're like fierce, and everything is based on getting the story first, which I understand because
Which they do.
I'm a spite-based person, so it's not what I achieve; it's what I take from others. So I totally understand their philosophy, but
So the other
they don't
news
sleep.
channels watch and they go, oh, I guess we should have covered that. So anyway, since they're here 24/7, we've come into this new thing where I've never experienced this before, and
No.
we cook breakfast here like every day.
Now,
Let's watch. We need some pork. Put that over there. Little pork chops. See, this is what happens when you work in a newsroom and they're up all night, and so at like 2 in the morning they go shopping at the grocery store. So at 2 in the morning, this is what happens, because we got some tamales too. I'm gonna throw some tamales on there. Not a lot of vegetables going on here today, but these do have corn in them, so that counts. Are these the pork ones?
Yeah.
Okay. Who want you? Okay, no, never mind. basically anything you put on they'll eat. So we'll just warm those up on the sides. So if you ever want to know what keeps the newsroom going and the Todd and Erin morning stream, it's basically meat products and a little maize. Oh, we have the chili. Oh, wait, the verde. Come on, follow me. Okay. Ooh, tortillas. Tortillas. Okay, all right, good. The funny thing is we actually do this during meetings, or it's during the show and they'll bring in a plate for us, which is nice. So I want today, when you go into your break room, I want you to look around. Usually there's one lonely table, right? One lonely table, and then a refrigerator full of bad food that's gone terribly wrong. And I want you to think about how we roll here at Gephardt Daily, because they don't pay us anything, but we eat well. Oh, that wasn't true. Okay. See how cool anyway, we have a rule.
we're
Gonna eat. As a matter of fact,
I like the
around
extensive
here.
menu. It really has become delightful.
The rule is no meeting can take longer than it takes to cook bacon. So when the bacon's done, what we do is the meeting's over. So that's how it works. How is it? Is it good?
Fantastic.
All right, cool.
Thanks, dude.
No problem, guy. So, and it's one of the things. And the funny thing is, we do it in an office up here, and there's actually a full kitchen downstairs. Full kitchen downstairs, and we use it as a pantry. And we do all the cooking in an office here, and there's bacon grease everywhere.
Hey, there's nothing
Keyboards are slippery around here.
nothing better than bacon grease.
Oh my gosh.
Nothing on this planet.
All right, we should talk about some plumbing, and our friend, the big supporter of the show, his name is John with All Utah Plumbing. It's not just plumbing.
I want to pause for a moment and look at his expression as he gets out of the truck, because every time he comes in front of our house, he has that same aggrieved expression.
Which
of,
is?
What did you break now?
I'm just trying to make you happy, dear.
But John
So-
is glorious, and did you know that he has 24-hour service?
He does, and his groups go out and they'll do stuff, and you know what the cool thing is? They're going to fix it once, they're going to fix it right. There's not going to be any alibis. When they leave, it's all done.
we did know about the galvanized.
Whether it's clearing drains, whether it's putting faucets in, remodeling, he's licensed, he's insured, all those things. Give him a call. allutahplumbing.com. And coming up next, the largest bird in North America gives a hug.
That doesn't sound as.
We're brought to you this morning by Executive Transportation. Elegant service, professional style. Go to executiveutah.com. And All Utah Plumbing. Your home deserves the best. 24-hour emergency service at allutahplumbing.com.
And also by Columbus Travel. If you go to columbusvacations.com, you can sign up for a weekly newsletter that always has great last-minute deals on hotels, airfare, cruises, and more.
Did you know you can catch the Todd and Erin morning stream any time of the day or night on Facebook, YouTube, and SoundCloud, and GephardtDaily.com?
All right.
Welcome back.
Welcome back. Todd and Erin Morning Stream on GephardtDaily.com.
Do you think it's kind of tacky that I'm doing my hair now
Mountain
for a
Cam.
bigger event later?
Well, you might want to explain if you're just jumping online, whether you're watching this at 7 o'clock at night or whatever. Erin's curling her hair because she's going to go do a shoot a little bit with Steel Magnolias.
We're filming an interview with the girls from Steel Magnolias and the women who play Trudy, who does all the hair stuff.
Yeah.
Apparently, she's like the dark mistress of like hairspray. So she looked at my hair and she goes, "You're gonna have to curl that first." But I kind of feel like I'm wearing like rollers to my own wedding because we might go out and do something cool later.
Here's the thing we found because we're moving, we're decluttering.
It was in the linen closet this whole time. Who knew?
She has 2 sets of these, and that this can't believe asleep in them still. Okay,
Well,
so
I don't anymore.
We Care Kits.
Now, I find this to be absolutely adorable. When I was 13 years old, I think I don't even remember what I was doing, but it probably wasn't particularly purposeful.
I was picking my nose.
There was a lot of
throwing
whining, I'm
dirt
sure.
clods.
Well, Brindy Heaton is adorable. Now, she wanted to start a service project, and she was kind of kicking around and looking at
How
stuff.
old?
She's from St. George, 13 years old.
13.
And she goes, and she read a news story about a little girl, and the picture of it haunted her for a long time because the little girl was involved in a domestic violence situation, and she was just kind of sitting there, and she could see how shell-shocked she was and how frightened.
She was with the police and everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and the
okay.
police are very sweet, but it's
Right.
there's so many traumatic things like a car accident or medical emergency, things that happen to these little people. And she went, okay, well, what can I do that would help that?
Now, a lot of people, they've done campaigns where they have teddy bears in the cars, in the
Which is
trunks
lovely,
of police cars, and it's just something to hang on to, which is great.
Well, and she was thinking, if I could just get them distracted a little bit with something, then maybe it wouldn't be so bad for them. So she did what she called the We Care Kit, which
Now,
is
we like we care, or is it like we care, like we little?
it turned into both.
Oh, really?
So it was kind of cool. So she said, inside the bags, I've got a coloring book and crayons. There's a stuffed animal. I've got a toothbrush and toothpaste because sometimes they end up sitting like at the police station or somewhere for a really long time.
Plus, it's a normal thing to do, and it's habit, and it's ritual.
And then she's got a little game. So she went around and, this kid's 13, and she's like, can you give me a discount on that? Going to retailers like, I'd like that for less because this is for charity.
And they will do
13
this.
years old. So I know I keep going back to that, but it kills me. So she got it down to her best possible price, which is about $8 per kit. And that's a lot of stuff for $8. And she goes, okay, now I have to raise the money. So she was thinking, one thing I know how to make are cinnamon rolls. She's I'm pretty good at those. So she thought, okay, I could probably make cinnamon rolls. So her parents spread the word. She spread the word in the neighborhood and at their work and all these places. She'd like your help, so Brittany will make you cinnamon rolls. Just give us an amount how much you want, and this is what we're raising money for.
That's cool.
Well, she ended up having to make. She goes, we sold a lot of cinnamon rolls. She had to make 170 pans of them. Like in 2 days, she goes, that was a lot of cinnamon rolls. Wow. So she ended up with $1,000, and so she made 95 We Care kits. And so she said this was the best part, where she got to go into the Children's Justice Center.
Oh, nice.
And to the St. George Police.
The
and
payoff.
to a couple of the homeless shelters. And she was just beside herself with excitement. And the cool thing is that Lana Trombley, who's from the police department, said, the purpose is to distract kids and let them go on with some concept of normalcy. And she said, Brindy did exactly that. She went through the whole stage process of what would matter to these kids. And so now they get to keep them in the back. And she said the timing for this was fantastic because they really didn't have anything in place at the time that would work. And so Brindy said, this is epic. And she goes, next summer, I'm going to try to do 5,000 of these kits.
That's what I was wondering.
I'm thinking there's going to be a lot of cinnamon rolls being baked over the next little while.
Can I give you some advice? Can I give her some advice?
I think you should.
All right. There 150 out of your home, 150 trays.
170.
There are commercial kitchens that you can rent.
Or maybe if they were nice, they would just give her, they would waive the rent so she could just bake there.
And they have 15 ovens.
And this really is
just trying to save time.
This is really what relief societies are for in church groups because they have phone trees and they're scary.
Yeah.
So you just call them and they have to all bring in their friends.
Give the recipe. Mm-hmm. They all make them. Mm-hmm. They bring them to the location.
You raise the money.
We should call her.
I think we should.
Okay.
I'm on the phone.
Do you remember? There's a famous video that's gone around. Mm-hmm. And I think the original, the video, the reunion of the deal was filmed. I think it was in the 70s because the film looks kind of weird, and it was a lion that was raised on an African ranch.
Yes, it's a preserve. Right? Yeah.
And the lion's name was Christian, and the two guys were kids.
Oh, you're gonna make me verklempt.
And they took care of the lioness. It was a female, and so it was great. And so they sent her off to the wild and didn't see her. So they figured, okay, we hope that things worked out because there was a pride nearby and stuff. So they went off to college, and Dad stayed on the ranch and stuff, and he didn't see anything either. And so the boys were returning because the dad called, and she goes, I think I saw Christian. And now how would you know? Because Christian was, this big and then big now. And so they both jumped on a plane. They went home. And they said, no, this couldn't be.
This can't be happening.
And they walked to the edge of the reserve where they live, and there's a gate there. And sure enough, here comes a lion.
It will crush you.
The lion comes down, lioness comes down.
It was a male lion, Christian.
Oh, was it Christian? Oh,
big,
right.
Do you remember he had that big mane?
I almost forgot part of the story.
Yeah.
So Christian comes down, goes right up to the fence. And they open.
That's interesting.
He could have just been a stranger
They
lion.
They said they both knew him the minute they laid eyes on him. They said they recognized him instantly.
They open the gate. The lion comes up and wraps his paws around the back and pulls one of them in and nuzzles him. And this goes on forever.
Like a human hug.
Both of them.
And he's rubbing his face all over
Both
them.
of
And,
them.
and yeah.
And then he runs up the hill. And then he comes back with his lioness.
And their cubs.
A wild, stinking lion.
And their cubs.
And brings them back and has them meet and touch.
Like, this is my family. These are my kids.
The 3 humans. And then the cubs, this is the weird part, they allowed, the lioness allowed them to touch the cubs.
Which is not something I think we all know happens in the wild ever.
Don't get between mom and her cubs, right? You don't, like bears. And it was an incredible story, and it's fairly famous, and
it's beautiful.
A lot of people know it.
But this is a mammal, and this is an animal with quite a higher sense of reasoning and intellect. So this is why I'm perplexed by this story. But go with it.
All right. So they're the largest bird in North America. You think about what
Bald
it is.
eagle,
Oh, bigger.
8-foot wingspan. Turkey vultures are smaller. Which one is it?
Condors.
Oh, the condor.
Like a 5 or 6 foot wingspan.
I don't think I've ever even seen one in.
No.
Yeah.
And they saved them from extinction by raising them and then releasing them and stuff. So anyway, Argentina, the guy rescued a small chick and couldn't find
Fell
out
from
where
his mother's nest.
couldn't
right?
find where
Yeah.
even the nest was.
Yeah.
And so here it is. And so he picked it up, not endangered in South America where they don't care. They don't have the same programs as in the United States. And so he took it and he took care of it. And he got it big enough, and then he went out to a ridge where there were other condors because they live in the mountains. And sure enough, they learned how to fly and then finally flew up and saw some others and joined in and flew away. Well, they have pictures, and here's one now. They have pictures of the reunion. The bird came back on its own.
Get out!
Came back on its own, and he is not squeezing that bird. That bird is nuzzling him, and he is giving it a little scratch.
Oh my gosh!
How? Look at the wingspan.
Look how gigantic that
my
thing
gosh.
is. Oh, and look at it. But you know it's got his wings out like, I just want to hug you.
And
I just
he
want
came back just to say hi, and I guess he does every once in a
Oh,
while.
this is the one. Look at this.
Right? Just
Where
bearing
he's
his head.
nuzzling his chest.
Yeah.
And he looks like he's ready to cry too. Look how big that bird
Yeah,
is.
they're just. His head's the size of a basketball. So anyway, just a really nice story. And the neighbors and stuff saw the bird coming in because they cruise around. They're vultures. They eat carrion, right? And they just were like, "Oh no, what's this mean?"
Yeah, it never
And
looks good when it's over your house.
He went down. He went to his house. Walked up to his house, and there he was. And then they hugged.
And then he nuzzled into his chest.
Isn't that crazy?
That just kills me. Okay, now what was this about? The cops filming and a robbery? I'm
Okay.
confused.
Okay, there's 2 scary things about this. Number 1, it happened in Detroit. Detroit is kind of a tough town.
Well, but it's
Obviously.
also they also shoot a lot of very dark movies there that involve a lot of crime because there's a lot of tenements and sort of ominous looking areas.
911 call comes in. Armed robbery, possible armed robbery.
Okay, scary.
So the police light them up and rip over there, come to a screeching halt, and there's a black Jeep and the doors are open. Suddenly notice someone getting out, right? And there's this Aston Martin car, very nice car, a sports car.
Oh, the Aston Martin car.
And it goes over, and what they can tell is holding that person at gunpoint and robbing them. Now,
Wow, that seems scary.
now the man turns and runs back to the Jeep, and the cops are there now, and they say, "Hold it." And the guy turns around with a weapon. One of the cop shoots 3 times and misses the guy because he's making a movie. He was an actor. He was shot at 3 times.
I hope he was wearing brown pants. Or at least they have some in wardrobe for him.
Right?
He missed him shooting 3 times?
I'm not sure the distance or anything, but so he drops the gun, and so when you film, you get permits. permits, and you usually have police officers doing security for you,
Yeah.
blocking you off. All the other cops know if anybody calls
So
911.
did this film crew just kind
They
of
just
ignore
kinda,
that part?
and they had smaller cameras, and it was a smaller deal, and probably no lights, and they just using natural daylight, so it didn't look like anything. And then next thing you know, the guy gets shot at 3 times. He could be dead. Probably for a really crappy movie too. Wouldn't that just be terrible? If you made
Yeah,
a
it's like if you'd accidentally died when you filmed Nightmare at Noon.
Y-
Have you ever seen Todd's movie Nightmare at Noon? He plays a country DJ named Billy Bob. There's an albino in the movie, that's why you know it's scary. And there's zombies.
There's 2 reasons why I'm cool.
Neither one of them are involved in this film, but okay.
I'm on IMDb. And Mystery Science Theater actually made fun of the movie.
This is true.
And they made fun and mocked me personally.
You know what? You actually do get a lot
That's
more
right.
credit for those 2
Right.
items than you do for the actual
Before
movie.
that, I just sucked. And then they made fun of it. And then it was like, yeah, that's right. That's right. Mystery Science Theater 2000.
All right, coming up next, you're looking at utter devastation and ruin, and the only thing you hear out of the man's mouth is, sorry about your house. We'll explain next.
Merit Medical. Why work for fast food wages when you can start at Merit for a whole lot more? Merit Medical. Great products, great people, a great company. Learn more at merit.com/careers. The law offices of Robert J. DeBry and Associates, with offices in Salt Lake City, Sandy City, and St. George. Check them out at robertdebry.com. The Todd and Erin morning stream is actually available anytime at gephardtdaily.com. Just click on the Todd and Erin page.
Okay.
All right.
You know,
Welcome back to Todd and Erin Morning Stream on GetPartDaily.com.
Oh, that's probably important. To me, I think probably the worst thing you can ever hear out of a professional's mouth, and we have heard this from neurosurgeons before and from attorneys and other important people, is, I've never seen that before.
Not good.
That's the worst possible thing you can
Not
hear.
good.
Well, unfortunately, that's exactly what happened to Shami Fisher. Now, this was back in 2012. She's in Boise, Idaho. And in 2012, you know, the real estate market kind of
crashed.
sucked, right? Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah, big
Right.
time. Well, in any case, so she did get a guy. She was trying to sell her house, and this guy said, I'll tell you what, can I rent to own from you for a year? Because I want to buy it and flip it. So
a lot of people did that.
So he says, I'll do rent to own. I'm going to remodel it while I'm there, and then I'll just flip the house, and I'll pay you off in a year. So she went, okay.
And people were doing all kinds of creative things back then
Sure.
just to make it work so they didn't lose their homes.
Yeah, so Ron Rioso said, okay, that's the plan. So she rented him her 1,200 square foot house in Boise, and she started getting payments, and then they stopped after about 2 months.
Ah, boy.
So here's the problem where you say, you're not paying me, and there's no calls back, you're not paying me, send somebody to the house, not paying me. And then eventually after 3 or 4 months, she goes, ugh. So she goes down there herself to confront him and go, either give me the rent or you're gone. So she's driving along, and she passes an empty space between 2 houses, parks her car, gets out, and she's looking at
Oh, my Lord.
what is left of her house. What is left of her house? Here's the deal. Rioso decided, instead of trying to remodel it, that he was just going to build on the lot instead. He thought that would work better. But then midway through
You can't rent to own.
demolition, he went, oh, I don't have any more money.
And he
which
didn't
is-
even finish demolishing
Which
it.
is why she ended up with that. So now our beloved Shami has 2 problems. Number 1, she has a house she's still paying a mortgage on that no longer exists. Number 2, the insurance company says, we've never seen anything like this before, so we're not going to pay a claim on it because we're not sure what to do. And number 3, she's getting notices from the city that if she doesn't clean up the mess,
Right.
they're going to start fining her $500 a day. So to me, these 3 things would be enough for me just to change my name and my identity and leave the country. Poor Shami is still fighting as she made it to the Idaho Supreme Court last month.
Oh, tell me it worked for her.
And her claim that her insurance company has to consider the loss. Because once again, at the first court level,
Right.
the judge went, I've never seen anything like
Not
this.
a good thing to hear.
The county attorney went, I've never seen anything like this. Oh, by the way, Rioso, nobody can find him. They have no idea where he is. So he's doing fine wherever else. And now they're finally at the Supreme Court, and they sided with Fisher in her appeal that her insurance company does have to cover the loss. This is 5 years later, and they have racked over $72,000 in city fines that have now been dismissed because it really was not her
How much did she
fault.
get?
She got 2 months' rent, so that was good.
She only got 2 months' rent, but she doesn't have a house.
She doesn't have a house either. So,
That sounds
and
bad.
that's where the phrase, sorry about your house, comes in, because that was the note that was taped to the chain link fence in front of what was left of her house.
You know, speaking of swallows and butterflies,
Were we?
the Capistrano, when the swallows come back, there's a joyous time. There's celebrations, as a matter of fact. The monarch butterflies, they come
Capistrano
back.
to California. They go
Right.
to the coastal town
Yes.
in California,
The monarch butterflies return
to the redwood forests.
sea, and once they do, it's just this monumental, spring is here, and it's just such a good thing. Here at Gephardt Daily, we have ants.
No, they're more than
You guys
ants.
have a great day. We're Todd and Erin on the morning stream.
They're flying ants.
GepHardtDaily.com. Enjoy.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to Todd's Critter Corner. Today we're going entomology bugs, ants to be specific. We've got our own colony. We're raising and fostering the ants, and it's breakfast time. So we'll see if they like tortillas, because you know what? Ducks like it. Ducks are really big on, they're actually looking like they're going to eat it. Licorice might be better. All right, so far, so good. They're definitely tasting each one. But if you look down at them long enough, it looks like you're in an airplane looking down. The people look like ants.